Did you just make the perfect piece of artwork, but now for art class have to photograph it and post it to Google Classroom? Oh, there are going to be some problems, but don't worry because today I'm going to show you how to take a photo of your work using your iPad. We have so many problems photographing our work, but don't worry because Mr. Morris is going to get you through it on this episode of Photographing Your Artwork with Mr. Morris. Alright, it should be no surprise, but presentation is important when it comes to your artwork. And to that end, you'll be uploading your artwork to our Google Classroom, and there's some guidelines I want you to make sure that you are following. Did you know that you can gain or lose up to one whole letter grade for how you present your artwork and if you presented it properly or not? That's why it's so important to pay attention for this video for some things that you can do to take proper photos. So without further ado, I present the 5 big no-nos in taking photographs of your artwork. Number 1, the image is way too dark. Make sure that you're taking images that are well lit, or at least you've adjusted them so the brightness is higher than what you see in this print. Number 2, your image is warped. You'll notice the top of this is really small and the bottom is really big because the photograph was taken with the iPad at a funny angle. So make sure that you're keeping your iPad parallel to the artwork when you're photographing it. All right, next, number 3, the image has shadows or highlights. If you look at the image that's on the right, you'll see that there's a shadow on it. That's not good. And if you look at the one that's on the left, you'll see that it's too brightly lit and we're losing some detail work with it. So keep an eye out for it. Number 4 thing to keep an eye out for, that your image is not blurred. Make sure that you've got a nice crisp image. Your iPad shouldn't have moved at the last second and created a blur, so look for that before you hand it in. And the number 5 reason why artwork might have points taken off for presentation is you didn't crop it. This isn't a terrible image, it's a little dark, but the biggest problem is that we see the entire background. I should only see the artwork in your final submitted artworks. Here's the same image, but this time well lit, but not too well lit. Checked for shadows, adjusted digitally to make sure that it's a little bit brighter than the original image was, and it has been cropped. This is what you want to be handing in. This best represents your work. Remember, the photograph represents the hard work you've been doing. And in a lot of cases, we cut ourselves short as artists by not showing our artwork in the best lighting, literally and figuratively, that we can. So how do you take good photos? Well, I'm going to take you through that right now. Step 1, have good lighting. The best light that you can use for photographing your work is natural light. The light coming from a window outside, or even better yet, just take your artwork outside and photograph it. However, if you are inside, you can try a spotlight. The only problem with the spotlight is a lot of the time it will create that sheen, that light exposure on your artwork. Let me show you what I mean by that reflection. Here you can see some of the stuff outside of the window reflecting on the artwork. And over here you can see the light bulbs are reflecting on the artwork. We have to kind of be aware of that when we take the photograph. Again, this may not matter right now with your artwork, but as the year progresses, you're going to have artwork that's going to be more reflective, like this laminated artwork is. Step 2, positioning your art and your camera. Once you've found the right amount of light to illuminate your artwork, you'll want to go to the books. Literally. In this case, I've picked out this big heavy book. This is probably too heavy. I want to find something that's a little bit lighter in weight and maybe a little bit thinner. I want to make sure that the book has a rigid cover. Let me show you what I'm going to do with that. Now you can see I have it up on end. I'm making this A shape and I'm leaning my artwork against it. Alright, this is the view from my iPad. And if you look, when I have the iPad and it's not parallel, you see how the picture looks really wide at the top and really skinny at the bottom? Coarsely, if I move the iPad down and I'm looking up at it instead of being parallel to it, you'll see that the bottom looks really wide and the top looks really narrow, really small. So we want to try to keep it so it's parallel. And you can see as I get it more parallel, it looks a little bit more square. What I want to do next is I actually want to line up the edge of my iPad screen with the edge of the artwork. So the two of them run, again, parallel. This is going to help me to make sure the artwork is straight in the frame. Be aware of what is happening on your artwork. If you're seeing a section that's getting glared out because of the light, you're going to have to readjust where your artwork is or where your light source is. So be aware of what you're looking at as you look through that iPad screen. Here you can see I have a little bit of light glare, so I'm just going to tilt the iPad ever so slightly where it's still going to keep the image square, but that black is now showing and I'm not getting that white glare. Step 3, adjusting your image. Well, and picking which image you're going to use. Looking through my iPad screen, I can now go through all the photographs that I've taken. I'm going to look for the one that's kind of cropped to start with the best. That's going to create the least amount of work. I select that. There we go. From here, I can use the crop feature, and by adjusting the screen or adjusting the artwork, I can kind of move that around. You'll see that my artwork's a little bit crooked still. You can either crop it so that that crooked edge doesn't show. In this case, I don't have a lot of border on the artwork, so I'm going to have to do this a little differently. I can also adjust it by tilting the angle. See, I'm playing around with it here. So I'm going to adjust it just a little, just to straighten up that one edge. I'm really focused on one edge of it right now. Once it's right where you want it to be, then again, you want to go back into cropping. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to crop two edges now. Now I just have to pull down my cropping tool to the edge. Once I've gotten it, I'm going to click on the Done button. You're going to see that up in the upper right-hand corner. And there we go. I have the artwork. It's pretty much what I want it to be. From here, I would log out of this and I would go into Google Classroom or into Drive, and I would then select the upload feature and upload that artwork in. So here we have the final artwork, and you'll see that I don't have any light glare showing. It has proper edges. I'm not seeing like the table that was behind it or anything like that. When you look at the items that are being graded on your work, one section of that grade is based off of craftsmanship or presentation. Basically, this is what I'm looking for. Is your artwork photographed well? Is it cropped well? Do I see folds and wrinkles, or did you keep it nice and flat? That's going to be a great portion of your grade, and it's a pretty easy thing to do. It's just going to take you a couple minutes to get things set up. A solid presentation of your artwork is always going to make it look great. So make sure that you are selling yourself. You're selling the hard work that you're doing by presenting your artwork professionally. If you have any questions, please let me know. Until next time, I'm Mr. Morris. Have a great day.